Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Contento, and I'm the Vice President of Contento Recycling LLC. And I'd like to embark with you on a journey about my small family-owned recycling business and how we're taking a slightly different approach to business as usual. First, I'd like to start by giving a little background on my family. Picture here is Gerald Sr., my grandfather, shown with his first recycling yard in 1950. Gerald Sr. was one of 8 children, born into a poor family of Italian immigrants. In 1950, Sr. began recycling scrap metal and salvaging car parts right here in central New York. I don't think that he ever would have dreamed that over 68 years later, his business would have grown to the heights it's at today. Flashing forward to 2018, a lot has changed in the world. Markets, industries, businesses as a whole have changed dramatically since the mid-1900s. We live in a world more aware of what's going on around it, where people, countries, and nations are connected in a matter of seconds via the internet. In the words of Andrew Winston, we live in a hotter and more extreme world. Resources are getting increasingly scarce, and we have a more open business environment. Businesses must act in a more transparent and cooperative fashion. This is what caused my pivot into a brand new recycling portion of our existing family business that has deep roots in sustainability already. Leadership is about showing others the right path, even when they're hesitant to believe in you. By being the first ever company in Central New York to recycle construction and demolition debris, I broke the mold on waste disposal. I chose to challenge the social norm of recycling cardboard, paper, and maybe a little scrap metal, and then just sending the rest to the landfill. I chose to be a heretic because it made financial, environmental, and social sense to do so. These factors comprise the triple bottom line thinking that I employ at Contento Recycling and that other companies should do as well. Anytime you want to make an organizational change, a cultural change, or any sort of change that goes against the grain, you will most likely be met with resistance. People are just naturally resistant to change. However, if you want to become a sustainability change agent, you have to convince people to see the light. The way you communicate with each person or group of people may be different. Not everybody's the same. An effective leader has the ability to find what motivates people and uses that to influence them. Being a change agent isn't about manipulating people or lying to them. It's really about showing them how to come to conclusions on their own after you have presented your story to them. So you're going to have to start somewhere on your quest to be a leader in sustainability. A good start is to develop a vision and a mission statement for your new initiative or endeavor. The vision should unite a group of people around a common goal or dream. It will act as instructions for the members of the organization on what they're really trying to do. For example, Contento Recycling's vision is to be Central New York's leading family-owned recycling business that serves the community with a wide variety of recycling services while maintaining a friendly, interpersonal relationship with all of its customers. Contento Recycling team members know that they both want to be great at recycling, but also provide a unique, family-oriented approach at customer service that Central New York won't find anywhere else. Once you've got your mission figured out, the once you've got your vision figured out, the next step is with your mission. The mission is a more specific purpose of what the organization tangibly will do to work towards their vision. In the early 1960s, President John F. Kennedy gave a great example of a vision and mission statement when talking about his goals for the U.S. space program. He said, "This generation of Americans intends to be the world's leading spacefaring nation." This was his vision. And the United States would land a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth before the end of the decade. This was his mission. He told the country what he intended to do with the vision statement and built upon it more specifically with the mission. Once you have a well-defined mission, you have to make others believe. Believing in your vision or your mission is a very important part of becoming a sustainability change agent. Creating a shared vision is one of the keys to doing so. The author of The Fifth Discipline, Peter Senge, refers to shared vision as, at its simplest level, a shared vision is the answer to the question, what do we want to create? To create a shared vision, it has to be something that the whole company helps to develop, not necessarily just a top-down approach. A leader has to be willing to expose his vision to the whole group, and that is not always an easy thing to do. Once a leader's vision is well known, others can begin to join in. This willingness to be transparent and vulnerable is a difficult notion, but more often than not, it helps people to create empathy for a leader. Once your organization knows what the world you're trying to create is, it will need some more specific goals on how to get there. These goals or strategic objectives are even more specific than your mission statement. They should be very specific and align well with both your mission and your vision. Using the acronym SMART is a good way to test if a strategic objective will be one worth working towards. They need to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. At Contento Recycling, our top 3 strategic objectives are: number 1, to build a construction and demolition recycling business that diverts more material from the landfill each year by improving and innovating its recycling operations. Number 2, continue to produce more and more recycled products from the material that is diverted from the landfill year after year. And third, establish themselves as an expert in recycling and use this expertise to help achieve common sense recycling and disposal regulations, as well as educate the community on how to live a more sustainable and environmentally friendly lifestyle. Being able to track the success of objectives sounds pretty straightforward, but in reality, that's not always the case. You have to come up with some metrics for success that you can easily compile data on. Without putting a pen to the pad, you cannot always tell if some of your objectives are being successful or not. As an example, Contento Recycling's metrics for success are the number of haulers contracted to dispose of C&D debris with Contento Recycling, the C&D throughput in tons of the recycling center, the amount of C&D diverted from the landfill in tons, the percentage of overall C&D diverted from the landfill, the total amount of recycled products made from diverted C&D debris, for example, recycled concrete aggregate, topsoil, mulch, animal bedding, biomass, erosion socks, gypsum board speedy dry, and so on. Also, the amount of alternate daily cover made for landfill in tons is another metric for success. The larger Contento Recycling scores on these metrics, the more likely they are to be executing on their strategic objectives. For some businesses, the metrics for success may not be as easy to gather because they're more qualitative in nature. This is okay just as long as the method for gathering data is not flawed. A huge part about being a leader is being able to take responsibility for your faults and your shortcomings. As I mentioned earlier, to be a driver of sustainability and a leader in general, you are exposing yourself and allowing yourself to be vulnerable. It is important to constantly push yourself out of your comfort zone in order to constantly grow. You have to accept that you will make mistakes that you will have to change along your journey. When Peter Senge talks about achieving personal mastery, he explains that how personal mastery truly comes is from embracing yourself as a creative being. Don't be afraid to change your mind or move away from your original path. As long as you embrace new opportunities and are willing to change, you can be a powerful leader of sustainable development. As you embark on your sustainability journey, it is important to remember it is a marathon, not a sprint. You will not always be able to achieve huge gains overnight, and depending on your situation, you may be limited at times at what you can actually do. Don't be afraid to go against the grain. Regardless, it's important to persevere along your path. You can't be afraid to go against the grain and break the status quo. Do what you're truly passionate about and dedicate yourself to it wholeheartedly. And above all else, lead with compassion. If you can do all this, then you'll be an effective sustainability leader. So, what are you waiting for? Go on and get started. Thank you.